Hey guys, today I have some incredible news about the new Dragon Ball Daima. The new season of Dragon Ball is going to be incredible and one of the best productions, if not the best we have seen to date. And the information that has been leaked is simply surreal. Today you're going to find out a lot of information, like how many episodes can we expect, when is the release date for this, and what are the details of the new second trailer for Dragon Ball Daima, the slightly more detailed version, which has improved a lot from what we saw in the first announcement at the Comic-Con. Not only that, but official statements from the author Akira Toriyama himself about Dragon Ball Daima, which will now come to show us exactly what this new season is going to bring to us. If you like anime and you don't really like reading the manga, well, this is going to be a great season for you to watch, and I'm going to bring all the news here at this channel. So make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to it so you never miss out on any of our information. Okay, so first of all, how many episodes are we going to get in this web anime? Well, one of the leaks that we heard was that it would be about 14 episodes. Another leak said we would have 24 episodes. There were a lot of rumors flying around from leakers like AJ and DBS Chronicles and other ones too, and the word was really spreading. But it's not going to be 24 episodes. In fact, the number of episodes is still unknown, and not even the animators know it yet. There is no end in sight for this series. Perhaps not even the production team can predict it. In my opinion, it's still unknown because they're gonna do a test on Dragon Ball Daima's audience. And if it gets a lot of attention, if it goes viral, and they grow their fan base, they will continue to do more. But if the anime is a total flop, they'll stop making episodes and they'll write it off as just another web series. But in my opinion, despite the high criticism for Dragon Ball Daima right now, it's not gonna flop. Dragon Ball hasn't had an anime for a long time, and the movie Dragon Ball Super Hero, which a lot of people thought was going to flop, especially because Goku and Vegeta weren't really featured in it, including myself, but it didn't. In fact, it had a huge audience, especially in the United States, and it was one of the highest grossing anime movies, especially for Dragon Ball, in history. And it surpassed even the hype of Dragon Ball Super Broly, something that was really good and surprising even with the 3D technology and without seeing a really good fight between Goku and Vegeta, who are theoretically the protagonists of Dragon Ball Super. So I have really nothing to comment there. Dragon Ball Daima, yes, it's going to be a huge success and people are hating on it now, but I really think it's just a shock of finding out that in fact we're not getting a Dragon Ball Super Season 2 just yet. But we will get that Moro and Granola adaptation here in the future. I'm thinking at least a year and a half, 2 years. And who knows, if Dragon Ball Daima does well, we could have Dragon Ball Daima as a series and Dragon Ball Super continuing parallel to it. Another cool thing is that it's not going to be fluctuating between so many different art styles. The beginning is going to start with the theme of classic Dragon Ball Z with that same kind of darker color palette, and then it's going to change over to Akira Toriyama's traits, because in Dragon Ball Z, Goku has different clothes, different traits, and Akira Toriyama, he has his own style, and they are going to try to be more faithful for the first time to Toriyama's style. And for those who haven't read the manga, you're probably not even used to his traits, and there are people who read it for the first time and they say that it's ugly. But I really like Toriyama's design, and I think that nowadays Toyotaro himself has actually already surpassed Toriyama's level of quality. But it took a long time, and I still think that Toriyama's charm in drawing is better. Maybe it's a nostalgic memory or something else, but technically speaking, I do believe that yes, other animators and other people who produce Dragon Ball better than Akira Toriyama, they will be involved, and they're going to take that vision and really blend it nicely with today's technology. Other people such as Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru is an important animator in the history of Dragon Ball, and guys, he is the one who created the Super Saiyan 4 image. He manages to faithfully reproduce Akira Toriyama's style, literally the same style without any difference, to the point that Akira Toriyama has already said in an interview that he doesn't even know how to differentiate between what was done by Nakatsuru and what was done by him. So we're not going to really have that fluctuation that we saw, for example, during Dragon Ball Super. He said that it's going to start with that Dragon Ball Z aesthetic, and then they're going to make the age transition, meaning they're going to go back to being children, and then we'll see that real Akira Toriyama style. All of this in episode 1. He also confirmed this time that the episodes are going to be 24 minutes on average, which is longer than the 20 minutes planned. And that's really good because a lot of people were thinking that it was going to have that same style and structure as Dragon Ball Heroes. But no, Dragon Ball Heroes was just a promotional anime. It was just there to promote an arcade game, in this case released Dragon Ball Heroes itself in Japan, which does sell a lot. Their aim is to sell card games, which are cards that you actually put into the machine and unlock characters. For example, you can buy Goku Ultra Instinct, put it in the machine, and you'll play with Goku Ultra Instinct just like that. It's really cool, and it did end up selling a lot, similar to the sticker album scheme. And Dragon Ball Heroes, it's actually already 10 years old in Japan and still sells today. People play it a lot, similar to GTA 5, which never ends. So these 24-minute episodes, it's going to be a lot of fun. And Dragon Ball Heroes only has like 10-minute episodes, despite having really good quality in animation, similar to what we're going to be seeing in Dragon Ball Daima. And the releases will also be frequent and weekly. It's not going to be like Dragon Ball Heroes, where we would have one almost like every other month. It's been a long time without the Dragon Ball anime, and now this Daima series coming out, they are putting a lot of attention into it. Akira Toriyama himself even said that he put more of himself into this project than he has any other project in a long time. He also says that the concept of rejuvenating the characters, it sounds like Dragon Ball GT on paper, but it's nothing like that. According to him, the series follows closely to RPG games. Of course, the ones that Toriyama was involved in, like Blue Dragon and Dragon Quest. He also said that the two main characters were not revealed in a very interesting way. He posted 2 images of a dragon and then a hamburger so that it would probably be hiding the characters who will appear in the next trailer. He also put something about the production and said that it is true that Nakatsuru is the series character designer, something that's really good because Nakatsuru is actually an old Dragon Ball animator who doesn't appear much these days. He's an animator and let's say kind of like an artifact. He contributed a lot and he is the creator of Super Saiyan 4, and for that alone, you can thank him. Now he's coming back and several people from the old staff are actually making their return too. And in my opinion, this is a confirmation of a theory that I had previously made. You know that Dragon Ball Super was going to come back in 2019, but it didn't come back due to the situation of the world, and I can't really talk about that here, but you know what happened in 2020 and 2021. Everything stopped, and the animators as a result, they also stopped. And then in the meantime, they were working on other projects too. And so those who had a contract to make Dragon Ball Super, it ended up not being fulfilled and the contract was dismissed. So they went on to other projects, and this is a really good example. We have Naoto Shishida, who in my opinion is like the best Dragon Ball animator. He was responsible for some of my favorite scenes, such as Frieza vs. Goku when Frieza left Hell to go to the Tournament of Power. That was a really good fight with incredible features, but he really stands out in camera games. I love that. All of the angles and things. Shida is known as the samurai of animation, and now he's working on One Piece, because One Piece has several projects that you must know about or be following, and if you're not, I'm sure you've heard about them, but it probably does confirm my theory. Dragon Ball was supposed to make a comeback before 2022, but everything that went on, we ended up not getting it. And last year, Dragon Ball was going to make an announcement too, but Toei Animation had been hacked. They lost files from the movie, from the announcement, from the animation they were working on, lots of stuff. So several rumors about the anime's return, well, they were never lies. In fact, Toei Animation has several problems that hindered it, and now on account of these problems, they're bringing the old guard back and bringing us a new anime, something that's going to downscale the power for right now, because Dragon Ball Super brought it to such a high level. But I think it's going to be sensational. It's really going to be much more grounded, especially for nostalgic Dragon Ball fans. It's bringing back that sense of adventure, and if you have kids, this is the time that you can share Dragon Ball with them, and maybe they'll become part of the fan base. I, for one, am somebody who watched Dragon Ball GT, and most people don't like it, but I did have fun with it, and I spent some time watching GT, and Nakatsuru confirmed that he will be part of the character design. But contrary to what many people are saying recently, he's also going to be contributing to corrections, so he will be getting his hands dirty, something that's also really cool in my opinion. And then we have the director of this Dragon Ball Daima, which is going to be Aya Komaki, who is not the only director of the series. We also know about Yoshitaka Yashima, who is the main director, and then with Aya Komaki, who's going to be more of support. And if you don't know who Aya Komaki is, just think about One Piece. And then they said that the art direction is by Takahashi Kurahashi, who was the director of the 2008 OVA Yosan Goku, which you probably remember, and he made some impressive sets from the trailer, and I even felt a little bit of the vibe from that Yosan Goku special from 2008. You might know it better as the return of Goku and his friends, and it looks a lot like it if you put some of the images up from adult Goku in this trailer. So with Goku from the 2008 special, which was Yamamoto's traits, it especially looks like it a lot. But no, this is not the Takahashi that you know, because there's actually two Takahashis. We have Takahashi Kurahashi, who is this one, and we have Yuya Takahashi, who is the fans' favorite celebrity, probably of all the Dragon Ball animators. Yuya Takahashi is the favorite, but we're not talking about him here. That's why he doesn't have Takahashi's traits. Takahashi is known for bringing us Dragon Ball Z traits in Dragon Ball Super, and he's done this countless times, like in Dragon Ball Super Broly. And then of course the traits that we saw in the Tournament of Power, so a lot of people do like Takahashi's traits. But you can see here a little bit on the screen of Yuya Takahashi's style, but like I said, it's not going to be that Takahashi, it's going to be the other one, Takahashi Kurahashi. And another thing that this trailer promises is that when you look closely at Vegeta becoming a child, he's actually bleeding, meaning that this might not be so censored in the area of violence. Even though they are going to be children, they will still be battling with all they have. And then when we think about the color palette that was chosen for Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the color palette was chosen by Rumiko Nagai. And they are really similar colors. Goku has a design that's a little bit more yellow than orange, and it reminds me a little bit of Goku from Dragon Ball Z. And because Dragon Ball Daima will take place right after the Majin Buu saga, this does kind of cancel out Super. So does that actually mean that Super might not be canon? No, that does not mean that at all. Super is canon. Does that mean that Daima's not canon? No, that's not true either. In fact, these could be two different timelines, and they could expand the story a little bit more. That's what I think is going to happen. If this does really well and they want to continue Daima, it's going to have to be a different timeline, especially something that connects with Dragon Ball Z, and having the Super Saiyan 4 designers, this has a lot of potential to be great. And it's not going to just leave Dragon Ball Super aside, because Dragon Ball Super is going to explore the multiversal issues. And if you check out some of my other videos about Dragon Ball Daima, you will see more information about the timeline specifically. So we have a lot of good things to look forward to. For example, the color palette, Nagai has been consistently great, and he also says that some of the main animation supervisors include Shikashi Kubota, the person who was responsible for the Dragon Ball Super Superhero movie, with great traits, and he's the one who did those beautiful 2D scenes that were remakes of Dragon Ball Classic. So I'll show you some of them here too, which Kubota did alone by hand. Then we have Naohiro Shintani, who is the director of Dragon Ball Super Broly, and he brought us that more rounded, kind of puffier color palette, looking a little bit more glossy. Yuya Takahashi, who I just told you about, brings those Dragon Ball Z traits to DBS. And then we have Takeo Ide, who is an animator who's not very famous, but he does participate in some Dragon Ball scenes since Dragon Ball Z, and he also works on classic Dragon Ball Heroes, etc. So he's an animator who's always around in specific moments, though he's not as well known. And we also have Miyako Tsuji, who is another animator very similar to Ide. He also does some interesting scenes, and his features look a lot like the characteristics that we saw in the Black Saga, with somewhat triangular noses. I personally didn't really like them too much, but there are those who really did. He's an artist who focuses on consistency, so we really shouldn't have any problems in the animation department here. This anime is not going to be an embarrassment. And then we got information about when production started. So it started at the end of 2021, which I had already told you in other videos. Toei Animation created a pilot in early 2022 for Toriyama and Shueisha to sample, and then their full team was recruited in April 2022, with the animation properly beginning in October of the same year. When Dragon Ball Quest died, one more thing I told you was Toei Animation's other projects, so they got them all out of the way, and then they put this on the Golden Goose. They really can't ignore Dragon Ball right now, because it is one of their highest grossing things. It brings them in a lot of money, even when we haven't had a proper anime in 5 years. Toei Animation knows this, and they are a very busy animation studio. There are so many complaints about them having projects that deliver with poor quality, even Dragon Ball, which is so surreal given the level of importance of this franchise. So they didn't want to do it at that time, but now they're focusing on quality for us Dragon Ball fans. And it might be bad because of all this waiting, and it's not really the story that everybody wanted, but the animation's going to be on point, and that is what is going to carry this and carry the hype until fall 2024, which is when this anime is set to come out, and it will be streamed on Crunchyroll and with their partners. He also mentioned that some of the production documents indicate that Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, they're actually strong sources of inspiration for where we're headed with toy animation and Dragon Ball. The scope of the series grew during production, with many people's time being extended beyond initial agreements, and he said that Dragon Ball Daima left the Dragon Ball Super TV series in the background for right now. And he also said that he's not joking when Toriyama said that he's getting involved as much as possible. He and Shueisha went so far as to check the actual cuts of the animation to ensure it best matched his vision, and not just the script, but also the design this time. This is really incredible because in Dragon Ball Super, Akira Toriyama gave an interview saying that he really didn't like the Goku vs. Goku episodes, or the Goku vs. Beerus, showing that's a sign that he hadn't seen it before. So before we heard about this Dragon Ball Daima, we had so many leaks about Dragon Ball Magic, and he did confirm that was the name, but up until a couple days before the announcement, they changed it to Dragon Ball Daima, showing that they really did not have a definitive version yet. And in an interview, Akira Toriyama said that he's going to do his best, so we can expect an inspired Akira Toriyama finally coming out of the woodwork to provide some authentic Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball Daima is going to be really awesome. The word Daima itself in Japanese is something referring to evil, so it is going to bring us some dark aspects as well as some comedic parts. Let me know what you think of all of this in the comments below, and before you go, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel too, so you never miss out on any Dragon Ball news.